Welcome friends! Today's practice is going to be a super quick 10-minute stretch for your shoulders and your lower back. Let's get started. Just come to a kneeling position. Soften your eyes. Just take a moment to check in with how you feel. When you're ready, you can bring your left ear towards your left shoulder, relieving stiffness in the neck. You can release your right fingertips to the mat if that is available to you. Come back to center and let's just switch sides. Right ear, right shoulder, and you can lower your left fingertips to the mat. Start to raise an awareness of your breath and how the body is feeling today. And now let's lower the left hand down and inhale, the right arm comes up and overhead, looking towards the sky. And let's switch sides, right arm comes down, left arm comes up and overhead. Let's come back to neutral. And let's make our way to an all fours position, knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders. A couple rounds of cat-cow, so as you inhale, curve the spine, look up towards the sky. Exhale, cow pose, push the heart towards the sky. Inhale, lift your gaze. Exhale, round the spine, chin to chest. A couple more rounds in your own time. Move with breath. And on your last round, tuck your toes, push the hips back, find your downward facing dog. Pedal the feet out, bending into one knee and then the other. Find some stillness. Inhale, come high onto the toes, lower the knees. And then take a step forward with the hands so that you can lower the chest towards the earth. Finding a puppy pose here. And you can keep your forehead onto the mat, or you can lift your gaze for a slightly deeper expression. One more variation is you can come onto your fingertips and lift the forearms off the mat. This will build a little bit of strength in the shoulders. If you are on your fingertips, release them down so you can roll the spine forward, lower the hips, finding a sphinx pose. Push the tops of the feet into the mat, heart shines through, and you can lift the forearms off, finding a seal pose. Slight bend in the elbow protects the spine. Now let's lower the forearms down, lower the forehead. Hands come underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes. Push the hips all the way back, find your downward facing dog. We're going to take some spinal waves, moving with breath. So as you inhale, come high onto the toes, roll the spine. And then lowering your hips down towards your wrists, finding your hanging cobra. And on your exhale, you're going to push the hips back, down towards your downward facing dog. A couple more rounds as you inhale, high onto the toes, roll the spine. Exhale, lowering the hips. And back down towards your downward facing dog. Let's take one more. Inhale, rolling the spine, lowering the hips, hanging cobra. And pushing the hips back, downward facing dog. And now look towards the top of your mat. Come onto your toes, and you can step, walk or float to your forward fold. Lowering the chest towards the thighs. Then inhale, halfway lift with the chest. Exhale, forward fold. Take a deep bend into the knees, roll the spine, come all the way up to standing, palms touch overhead. Exhale, swan dive back down to your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, ground into your right foot, and then lift the left leg and step it all the way back. And you can spin the foot flat to a 45-degree angle. So we're in a warrior one stance here. Bring your palms to touch at the heart. Your hips are square to the front of your mat. And now we'll interlace our hands behind our back so we can open the heart and the chest. Roll the shoulders back and we'll humble our warrior, so lowering the chest down towards the mat. Your right shoulder should be in line with your right knee here. Pushing the hands away from the back. Hold it here, breathe. And then release the clasp. Fingertips come down to the inside of your right foot and we'll open up to a side angle. Your left arm stretches up and overhead. Such a beautiful stretch for the side body. I love it. And then if it's in your practice, I invite you to find your bind. So your right arm wraps underneath your right leg and you grab a hold with your left hand. Your gaze is towards the sky. If you have the bind, then release. Coming back to side angle, and then your left hand comes down, framing your right foot. Step back and we'll flow it out, so chaturanga, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Let's flow out before we go to the other side, so look towards the top of your mat, come high onto the toes, bend the knees and step or jump to the top to your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift with the chest. Exhale, release. Inhale, bend into the knees, roll the spine, come all the way up to standing, palms touch overhead. And then hands come to the center of your heart. Inhale, arms come up and over. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And now let's step with the right leg to your back of your mat. Foot spins flat. Palms come to the center of your heart. Once again, your hips are square to the top of your mat. Now let's interlace the hands behind our back the less intuitive way, pulling them away from the sit bone. Now let's lower the chest down, humble our warrior. Left shoulder is in line with your left knee, pushing the hands away from the back. Release the clasp. Bring your fingertips to the inside of that left leg. Inhale, right arm stretches up and over for your side angle stretch. Right shoulder pushes up towards the sky. And then take a bind if it's in your practice, bring the left arm round and grab a hold of the left hand or the wrist. If you do have a hold of the wrist, then you can pull that right shoulder open a little bit more with the left hand. Release the clasp if you had it, come back to your side angle. And then framing the left foot, let's flow it out, step back to plank, chaturanga, lowering halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And let's meet in a child's pose at the back of our mat. Lower the forehead down. Take a moment to check in. How is your body feeling? We're now going to find our rabbit pose, so if you reach your hands back to grab a hold of the heels, and then lower the crown of the head onto the earth, and then push your hips up towards the sky. This is an amazing stretch for the upper back and the shoulders. Slowly make your way out of this pose. Lift the upper body up, and we'll stay onto the knees, and we'll bring our fingertips behind us, facing towards our body. Roll the shoulders onto the back, and then take a bend into the arms, opening the chest. This is another great stretch. You should feel it in the front and the top of the shoulders. And now let's release, and we'll just make our way into our seated position to close off our practice. Palms can rest facing down or open. Soften the eyes closed. Notice if you're holding any tension in the face. Relax the shoulders. And just breathe. Thank yourself for giving your body just 10 minutes of movement. Let's all take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, sigh it out. One more time, breathing in. Exhale, sigh it out. On your next inhale, the arms come up and overhead. Namaste. I thank you so much for joining me with today's practice. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time on the mat. Namaste.